I wanted to know this science so well that I could explain it to folks that didn't study it in a way that they could use it to make their life better. Every day is to make life better for the farms, the farmers, the families, and the youth that we serve across the state.
At Farm Bureau Health Plans, we are your neighbors, your friends, and partners in health. We believe everyone deserves the very best care tailored to your unique needs. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Plan on us.
Joining us now on Root of the Matter is Dr. Justin Rhinehart. Dr. Rhinehart, you've just been named here recently within the UT system the new Extension Dean. Congratulations to you. A whole lot of folks in Tennessee agriculture are excited and proud for this new step in your career.
Well, thank you, Lee. I appreciate it. As a native Tennessean, it's really exciting for me to be in this position, and I appreciate the opportunity.
And obviously, it's extension work and extension service has been at the forefront or at the back of your mind, I guess, and it's been a part of your career for quite a long time.
Sure, it has, and actually if you even go back further than that, the first I remember about interacting with UT Extension was at my grandparents' farm in Jefferson County. So my paternal grandfather, we called him Papaw, he raised tobacco, and I remember that our county agent in Jefferson County being an integral part of that, and we were successful in tobacco because of the help that they provided at that time. And that took me on through 4-H. I was engaged in that in Loudoun County and engaged in extension activities all the way through my undergraduate, and then I went off to a few other states and came back to Tennessee about 16 years ago and have been working in extension since then.
And obviously it is something that you're proud to be a part of and a career that you've always wanted to be involved in agriculture.
Yes.
And I know Extension does a lot more than just help folks that are on the farm. They're helping everybody, 4-H'ers and anything to do with food and fiber, and that's what Extension has been about, is the outreach program of the University of Tennessee.
Right, and if you go all the way back to the history of the way the land-grant universities were set up, and with the Smith-Lever Act in the early 1900s, setting up cooperative extension across the United States with the concept of taking the information that we create in the research units of the land-grant university beyond just teaching the undergrads that we teach in the college, teaching college component of it. That idea of extending that out to everybody in the state, it's a fundamental part of extension that has been there for over 100 years in Tennessee. And it's a fundamental part that we'll layer on new technologies and new methods of delivering education, but the idea is that we deliver that education well beyond just the university campus.
I'm going to go back to your early career and even your childhood in a moment, but just most recently you've been serving the last couple of years, I guess, as the interim dean. And I know that's had to help prepare you to be named as the full-time dean. But even before that, you were the beef specialist here with the University of Tennessee, and some other roles I know that you've been a part of at UT. But talk about what's led you to this point in your career.
And I'll go back just a little bit further than that. Actually, when I did my master's at the University of Kentucky, so I did my undergraduate at UT Knoxville, went on, did a master's degree at the University of Kentucky, and when I was there, I had the opportunity to work with an extension specialist. So I did my thesis work with an extension specialist, and really got the bug for it then. I knew what extension was. But at that point, going all over the state of Kentucky with Les Anderson is the professor's name there, and I just enjoyed what he was doing and got to work with farmers every day and with our agents in the field. And he was one of those guys that, it's funny, he studied neuroendocrinology in his PhD.
Studied what?
Neuroendocrinology.
What is that?
So it's specifically for him, he studied how the brain and components of the the endocrine and the brain system, the neuroendocrine system, controlled reproduction, and then he applied that to livestock management, to reproduction and livestock management, and to see somebody with that depth of knowledge in basic science be able to go out and explain that to folks that didn't study it. You know, farmers, we all know, are extremely intelligent folks, but if they don't study that kind of thing, it could seem foreign, right? But he was able to translate that to them in a way that they could use it to have a better livelihood on their farm, to make more money with their cattle operation. And I really got a bug for it then, and I thought, that's exactly what I want to do. And he was a good mentor to me, besides just training me on the science and the delivery of education. So I went on to West Virginia University after that and got a more basic science PhD, studied endocrinology, and again with the whole idea that I wanted to know this science so well that I could explain it to folks that didn't study it in a way that they could use it to make their life better. And was able to go to work at Mississippi State for a few years as a beef cattle extension specialist, doing just that, just working with people on reproductive management in their beef cattle herds, things like in vitro fertilization, artificial insemination, early pregnancy detection, those kinds of things. And then after a few years at Mississippi State, had the opportunity to come back home, and in 2010 started in the animal science department here at the University of Tennessee as an extension beef cattle specialist. So.
And at that point, you were located or headquartered out of the Spring Hill, and I still call it the experiment station,
right,
but it's the Research and Education Center
sure,
at Spring Hill, and not far up the road from the Farm Bureau headquarters, so we had a lot more time to interact, and I know that was a special time for you as well, to serve in that role. And I know from hearing from other farmers, they appreciated and loved what you were doing there, and really hated to see you leave that beef extension specialist role, but proud for you to continue to move up in your career.
And it's funny you say that. I kind of felt the same struggle. It was difficult for me to leave that position, because I more than anything, I appreciated working with the agents and the farmers in the state. Just every day you could see that you could make a difference and help somebody out, and they're always so gracious. And maybe even the more important thing than that is I learned so much from the other farmers that were doing things different that I could take to folks that hadn't seen that yet. And that's a big key part of it, of what we do in Extension. We deliver a lot of the research and findings that we develop in the university system. We also try to learn from other farmers and spread that kind of innovation across the state, and then naturally it spreads across the region, across the country, and internationally as well. So yeah, all that stuff comes together. But back to living here in the lower middle Tennessee area, not only was that great for my career, it was great for my family, my wife and 3 daughters, and we lived here in Columbia longer than we've lived anywhere else. And so it's been a real blessing for our family to be in a community close to a lot of folks that are directly involved with Farm Bureau, and it helped me learn how the inner workings and kind of how everybody feeds that information to a grassroots kind of a network, just the same way we do it as well, into affecting information, education, policy, those kinds of things. It's been a real blessing for me personally in my career, but even more importantly for my family to have been here in Middle Tennessee.
Yeah, and in that role as a beef cattle extension specialist, obviously you were connected a lot to the commodity groups like the Cattlemen's Association. I know that extensive work with them, partnering with them and other associations, and now as the Extension Dean, you've seen that in your interim role. You saw that even before.
Sure.
I think anybody in Tennessee, agriculture, knows that we've got this incredible relationship between all sectors of the ag industry. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what, to me, it sets us apart. I'm not going to take away and throw stones at other states, but
sure.
I think we've got a really good situation here where we do have those relationships within the industry, and then obviously that bodes well for the farmers themselves.
It does, and that's really one of the key things I picked up on very quickly coming back to Tennessee in a professional type capacity, is to see how close of a relationship we all have. And there'll be times where we might disagree on something, and we'll work that out, but we've always been able to keep that partnership. And me seeing how important that is for us individually, working in the different entities that partner together, but ultimately how important it is for the people that we all serve. The fact that I've been able to operate in that kind of a system, and seen in other places where it's not as close of a relationship and a partnership, to me that'll be the biggest overarching objective of my time in this role, is to continue to strengthen those partnerships and be responsible for keeping those very well rooted and go on for hopefully in a way that they'll continue going on well before or well after we're done here too.
I know I'm prejudiced about what a great situation we have in Tennessee. It's a great place to live, great place to work. It's a great place for agriculture.
Sure.
It's our number one industry that drives the state's economy, and we're not shy to tell that. We
Right.
need to share it even more, and that is one of the roles of Extension, right?
Definitely.
Is to that outreach, but you're working with the research aspect of
Mm-hmm.
it. That's one of the mechanisms of the Institute of Agriculture, the UT Institute of Agriculture. It's got that ag research part of it. And then, of course, you've got the College of Agriculture, you've got the Veterinary College, but then Extension is part of that, right? And
Right.
that's what delivers the message. And the best thing about that, it's in all 95 counties, right? There's an Extension office in all 95 counties.
Absolutely, and those are all things that I really hope we don't ever take for granted. It would be easy to take that for granted and maybe let it slip, but again, having experienced other places and ways it's done in other areas, other states, and again, not casting dispersion on any other state, but just we're very blessed to have that kind of understanding and partnerships across. It's something that I don't want to get lost in us in our day-to-day activities. And I'm glad you bring up, even within the Institute of Agriculture and the university, the UT system, more broadly in all the other campuses, we have such a good working relationship within the Institute of Ag. You mentioned the research and education centers earlier. Even the fact that I, as an extension specialist, was able to have an office on a research and education center, and Kevin Thompson, the director of the station here in Spring Hill, he and I happened to have been trained similarly, and we hashed out ideas, and we came up with a lot of stuff just having offices across from each other. So that kind of non-transactional kind of partnerships where we really work together and want to help each other within the Institute. And again, as we mentioned, the other entities in the state that serve agriculture, I can't even stress and begin to put a number, quantifiable, economic impact on how important that is. It's just one of those things that you have to really know and not take for granted, and definitely that's the culture we have, and we want to continue that culture. And it goes into the way we hire people, how we evaluate people annually. All of those things that we do are focused on maintaining that culture of partnership, ultimately for service of the people of Tennessee.
And just like with you, that relationship or that identification of the industry starts really at an early age, because Extension is in charge, so to speak, right, of 4-H.
Right.
And that's kind of where you came in, I guess, as a young man in Jefferson County, and you've seen that firsthand through your role, especially as interim and now as the full-time dean,
Sure.
of how important 4-H is, and that's a big aspect of what Extension is in terms of that outreach and education, right, to help folks understand why maybe agriculture is so important.
Yeah, and one thing we haven't mentioned yet, and I want to kind of bring this into the discussion, is Family Consumer Sciences. It's a department and a unit within Extension, and they have 4-H programs. So 4-H, I think of as, kind of the collection point of everything we do in Extension also has a youth development component to it. So if you think about food safety, financial management, even first-time home buyer kind of programs that we have in family and consumer sciences, that all relates back to when we work on it for adults, we also have a component of it for youth development. And so we work with and interact and contact a lot of adults that we serve in Tennessee, but exponentially more we contact the youth of Tennessee because, and going back to something you mentioned, that we still are a county-based system. We have agents in all 95 counties of the state, and each of those counties have 4-H youth development program in it. So we still meet in the schools, in most of the school systems. So we're able to come in contact with youth that might not otherwise know about agriculture or family and consumer sciences and what we do in these other adult-focused programs. So yeah, definitely 4-H is a linchpin of and kind of part of the backbone of what we do in extension education delivery.
Yeah, and we're proud, right, that we've got one of the strongest 4-H programs in the country. We know we've got, I think, more youth involved in the program, and the other big part of that, and was reflected in the General Assembly's commitment this year to the money that was allocated to go towards those 4-H centers across the state. I think we have 4, mm-hmm. and that all strategically located throughout the state to help give an experience like no other if you're a young person. Definitely. Even an older adult like myself, I enjoy getting the chance to go to those 4-H camps, those centers, and see how they are educating the future of Tennessee agriculture, right? And so that money that came out from the General Assembly, I think it's $45 million or right. so that's going to be split among. That's got to be exciting for folks in Extension, right? It's
very exciting. So in the governor's budget, he proposed and the legislature supported the $45 million to the 4-H Foundation to support the development of STEM education centers on all 4 of our 4-H centers across the state, which, like you mentioned, are strategically located from southwest Tennessee all the way to upper, northeast Tennessee. So that every youth within a reasonable driving distance has the opportunity to go. We're recording this in the summer, and camping season has just started, and tons of youth across the state are going to those camps at the 4-H centers. Even outside of camping season, we bring in a lot of the school system groups, STEM, sometimes even for overnight experiences in STEM education throughout the school year. So we're year-round on those 4-H centers. They started off, and I think for a long time operated as summer camps, but it's so much more because of things like the support from Governor Lee and being willing to support us in such a big way to develop those STEM education centers. I think he sees the value in the education that in kind of real-world problem solving in STEM education that we can give that experience to. And the teachers across the state use that as a way to fulfill their requirements for meeting the needs of the students. And it's really been an inspiring thing to see that level of dedication from our state to support that kind of education. And another component of that was a similar amount of funding for FFA. I was a member of FFA coming through high school. My dad was my FFA advisor, and had a tremendous experience with FFA, just like I did with 4-H, and he supported both. And just really exciting to see that kind of commitment to youth development, specifically around agriculture, but addressing the needs of STEM education through agriculture. It's a very exciting time.
Yeah, and so you had that opportunity as a young person to be involved in the different programs. That's kind of what, that's, as you said, I think at the beginning, it's kind of what's led you to where you are today, right?
It did.
That raising and upbringing on the farm, showing livestock, I guess, right?
Yep. Showed cattle and sheep, growing up. And so I had that, that desire to be connected to that. And as I got older and started to see how the system actually works, and then, like I said, that experience I had studying under an extension specialist, and saw really how it works and how they wake up every day to make lives better for for the agents that we serve, for the farmers that we serve. That's really where it all coalesced. So I had that background. Probably, as a kid, even through high school, wasn't thinking about it exactly like that. But Lord led me to the places to see it all come together and how I could build a career around that. And personally, it's been, a very, very satisfying career so far. And I foresee that in this position as well. And again, kind of going back to it was a difficult decision to transition from being an extension specialist into an administrative role. But ultimately, I thought, okay, if I can help foster a system where more people have the experience I had in the biggest part of my career, then definitely I want to be a part of that.
So I know you're proud to be a part of the system and what it's doing, but as part of that, as we discussed, the ag research with Dean Hongwei Shin, the Herbert College of Agriculture and Dean Dave White, and then the veterinary school, the College of Veterinary Medicine on the campus in Knoxville with Dr. Paul Plummer. And then the guy that's leading you all, Dr. Keith Carver.
Right.
It just seems like, we've got some really good times ahead.
Right.
It's a good group to be in those leadership roles, and I know you're proud to work with all of those gentlemen, and then all the staff that's part of all the UT system.
Definitely, and kind of back to that culture of partnership, that's such a neat component that makes, there's a lot of stressful things that come up and decisions you have to make, but when you know that you're part of a team like Hongwei, Dave, Paul, and Keith that are making those decisions for the right reason, for the good of the people that we're responsible to serve. It makes those stressful situations not as bad to know you're part of a team like that, and just a lot of grace in what we do day to day, and interacting with people outside the institute, across the UT system. I think you see that in the leadership of the entire UT system. With President Boyd, we're part of UTK with Don D. Plowman. Just that real sincere want to serve the folks that we're responsible to, and it makes it some pretty high stress situations a lot less difficult to navigate when you're part of a team like that, and just you can really know you can trust the folks you're working with, and to me that kind of trust in our system, you've had that in Farm Bureau Federation for a long time, and we like to think we're kindred spirits in the way we go about things, and
without a doubt,
it makes the whole thing exciting. It kind of gives me goosebumps saying it out loud like that, and the opportunity that we have going forward in the state of Tennessee.
There's no doubt we've got a great relationship and a great partnership, and just so folks know, Farm Bureau has an office in all 95 counties. That's where we're very similar. Both of our organizations, or the university system and the Farm Bureau, having that relationship to the folks in all 95 counties. We're extremely proud to have that. Even a lot of people don't even realize too that Dr. Carver is a member of our board of directors, as an ex officio member. That person in charge at the institute at UTIA has always been a part of the Farm Bureau board, and we're proud to continue that, and I know that you're proud to work with Dr. Carver and the vision that he has to improve not only the Institute but Extension, and that's what you want to do. I know that's probably ingrained in you, that you want to leave something better than it was when you got there. And the technology that we've had, you've talked about it a little bit, but the technology that you've seen in your career since you were a youth to now, it's incredible what it's allowed, the advances that we've seen, and how it's helping improve agriculture overall.
Yeah. And that's one thing I'll say about the leadership before us. I talked about how just amazing leadership team we have right now, and how neat it is to be a part of it. But years and years before us, the folks that kept that that vision grounded in the fundamental concept of what we do for the Institute of Ag. Our tagline is real life solutions, And if you take that as, every day, when we evaluate a new technology that we might want to layer into the way that we deliver education through extension, or the way they do research, with things like now precision farming, precision livestock technologies, those are really amazing components of what we do. But at the base of all of that is the same fundamental goal every day, is to make life better for the farmers, the families, and the youth that we serve across the state. So I think staying rooted in that, and really a lot of that staying rooted comes from being a grassroots system and being connected to all the communities in the state. One thing we don't talk a lot about that I think we should really give a lot more praise to is the fact that the original kind of construct of the extension system is that federal, state, and local communities have buy-in to this system. So our county governments across the state of Tennessee help support our extension budgets in every county, and that's a huge component of what we do. And we're so appreciative of the ag boards, the county commissions across the state being willing to see the value in what we do and continue to support it. It's a big, extensive system, 900 people nearly in extension, over 2,000 in the Institute of Agriculture. We couldn't keep that going if it weren't for the buy-in from all the communities, and we couldn't maintain that community connection if we weren't able to stay in all 95 counties like we are. So it's a chicken and egg kind of thing that we just want to make sure that we recognize all the people that it takes to keep it going, so that we can keep that going into the future.
At the root of the matter, Justin, you're the new Dean of Extension for the University of Tennessee Institute of Agriculture, and I know this is what you wanted. Otherwise, you wouldn't have applied, right?
Absolutely.
You've been part of it, this interim role, the last couple of years. But what do you see now as your goal? What's the number one things that you want to try to bring to this full-time position now as Dean?
Sure. And I think it's that balance and that concept of being true to the fundamental purpose of what we have in UT Extension and cooperative extension, to cooperate with people that we serve and that we serve alongside with, to balance, keep that fundamental core, but continue to be able to kind of hold two concepts in mind, that sometimes we embrace new technology to address that fundamental objective. And I think if we keep that in mind, keep that balance, just be one more step in a long, long legacy of continuing that type of service and leadership for agriculture in the state of Tennessee.
Justin Rhinehart, the Dean of Extension for the University of Tennessee. That sounds good.
It's
take
a blessing.
off that interim part of it. It's the Dean of Extension.
It's a blessing. And I think, it could carry a lot of weight to it, but because we have such a great system, such great partners in Tennessee, I take it very seriously, but it's definitely a blessing to be in this position. Congratulations to you, and we look forward to your service to the university and to the Institute of Agriculture, and what it's going to mean for farmers and rural people and all Tennesseans, right? Extension. Definitely. It's not just about the farmers and rural Tennessee, it's all Tennesseans, right? Families and youth, and absolutely, yeah. We're here to serve all Tennesseans, and all Tennesseans support us, and definitely we take that very seriously with family consumer science, 4-H youth development, agriculture, natural resources, and community economic development. It's across the board.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Lee. I appreciate it.